Hi, my name's Karen Tapp, and I'm here today to read you my book, the book about Molly the Mallard Duck. This is a true story. It happened when my sister found a nest in her yard with a mallard duck. The story is written by me, Karen Tapp, and illustrated by Karen Welch, and it's about Kathy McGinnis and the duck that she named Molly. Every spring, ducks everywhere make nests. They lay their eggs and tend to their nest until their offspring hatch. This may have happened in your backyard. It's nature at its very best. This usually happens often unnoticed and rather uneventful. But not when the duck chose the front yard of my sister. Kathy took it upon herself to see to the safety and the well-being of the duck she named Molly and her ducklings once they hatched. And so the story began one spring day. I would like to dedicate this book to my sister Kathy McGinnis. It's her whimsical style and her unique personality that brought the story to life. And I would like to thank Karen Welch for adding her artistic illustrations that made the story come alive. Once upon a time, there was a lady named Kathy who lived with her husband Gordon in a community in Strongsville, Ohio. They lived in a large home with a light post in front of the yard, and there were bushes around the light post. So one day, Kathy was weeding around the bushes, and to her surprise, the bushes started to move. She peeked in the bushes, and what she found was a mallard duck sitting on a nest of eggs. Kathy named the duck Molly. Now, being a loving and nurturing person, Kathy worried about the well-being of Molly. She brought out a bowl of water and bread and pushed it in front of her nest. She thought about putting a fence up to keep the other animals away. She checked on Molly every morning and every night. By the third day, she noticed that Molly had not eaten any food nor drink any of the water. "You have to eat to stay strong," she whispered to Molly. Kathy went in and called the people who protect wildlife for advice. They told her that Mother Nature takes care of wildlife and Kathy should not worry. They told her that a duck will sit on her eggs until they hatch, only leaving briefly at night. Once hatched, she will immediately leave the nest and head for the pond to join her mate and the other ducks. They told her the fence was not a good idea. While other animals could not get in, Molly could not get out. So one warm spring night, around 1 a.m, with the window slightly open, Kathy heard a terrible noise. A cat screeching, a duck quacking. Something was wrong. Now, what do you think a duck sounds like when they're upset? They make a lot of noise. Quack, quack, quack. They make a lot of noise. So, oh no, the ducklings had hatched. Kathy looked out the window in time to see a cat running away. Molly was chasing the cat, and the ducklings were following. Molly was in trouble. Kathy ran outside to see if she could help. What to do? Molly had chased away the cat, but she worried now about the safety of her newly hatched ducks. They were following too close behind her. So she decided to go back to the nest and keep her ducklings warm from the cool night air. On her way back, Molly walked over a sewer grate that was in the street. Now, Molly was a big duck, and this was not a problem for Molly. But her ducklings were small. Ploop, ploop, ploop. One by one, they fell into the sewer. Molly was pacing by the sewer, quacking and squawking and making more terrible noise. Kathy thought the whole neighborhood would wake up, but no other lights went on in the houses. So Kathy went back into her house to get a flashlight. She looked down in the sewer to see the situation. There was water in the sewer, and they were swimming in the water. There was another pipe that connected to the sewer that went under the street. As long as the ducklings remained in the sewer, they were safe. If they swam in the pipe that went under the street, who knows where they would go? It was too far down for Kathy to reach. What to do? What to do? I know, thought Kathy. I'll call the police, or maybe the firemen, or both. She didn't know if any of them would come, but she made the call anyway. And it must have been a very slow night in Strongsville. They dispatched a fire truck and 3 police cruisers. Upon arriving to the scene, the policemen and the firemen were quite amused with Kathy and her genuine concern for the ducklings. Now, one of the firemen was a large man, and had long arms, and he removed the sewer grate and laid down on the ground. Reaching down, he was able to snap up one of the ducklings, and then another. He handed them to Kathy, and she put them down near the frantic Molly, who was still pacing and quacking the whole time. He put his arm down again, but no third duckling. They needed more light than the flashlight provided, so the police cruisers turned their cars so the headlights all pointed at the sewer, and that gave them a lot of light. So looking down into the sewer, they could not see the third duckling. It had started to swim in the pipe that went under the street. There was a ledge to step down into the sewer, and one of the policemen, a smaller man, stepped forward to go down into the sewer. If the duckling had not swam too far, maybe he could reach it. A few minutes later, the policeman came up from the sewer with the duckling safe in hand. He handed the duckling to Kathy. She turned to hand it to Molly, but Molly was nowhere to be found. She took her little babies and left. So the firemen and the policemen bid Kathy farewell, and they went back to work. Kathy took the ducklings and walked through her neighbor's yard, looking for Molly. Molly, Molly, she called. But Molly was nowhere to be found. She took her 2 little ducklings and she left the area. Now, having just hatched, Kathy thought that the restless, peeping duckling might be hungry. She warmed a little milk and with a baby spoon, drop by drop at a time, in its little open mouth. After a few drops, the duckling closed its eyes and settled asleep in Kathy's hand. Kathy wrapped the duckling in a towel and tucked it between the pillows in her bed. Tomorrow she would take the duckling to the lake to look for Molly, but for now they both needed some sleep. Well, it was somewhere around 5 a.m. when the little duckling's hungry tummy woke it up. It started peeping and wiggling, and it woke Gordon up. Well, Gordon said, "That sounds like a duck. Why does it sound like it's so close?" "Don't roll over, Gordon, or you'll squish it," said Kathy. She then told him of her adventures of the night, and he laughed. "Well, you know you can't keep the duckling." "I know," replied Kathy as she got up to take the duckling to the lake to find Molly. Once at the lake, with the duckling in hand, she wondered, how would I ever find Molly? There must have been a dozen other mallards with their new families. "Molly, Molly," she called, I have your baby. Kathy sat the little duckling down, and it started peeping. One of the mallard ducks started flying towards them. Kathy stepped back as Molly came forward to claim her duckling. It's amazing. They know who their baby is. But ducks also don't think logically. They think instinctively. They didn't know that Kathy saved their duckling. They just knew that Kathy had her baby. So when Kathy put the duckling down, she noticed a mallard duck flying towards her in full aerial attack, as if to say, "Give me my baby back." So Kathy realized Molly's panic, and she ran for safety. Now that was the end of the story, but the following spring, Kathy noticed 2 mallard ducks in the yard, and they appeared to be looking for a place to make a nest. Kathy thought, could it be Molly? Why, yes, it was. The end.